Chapter 1. Last time we had Jake narrating, but this time, my name is Rachel. I won't tell you my last name. None of us will ever tell you our last names. Whenever I do use the last name, it'll be fake. Sorry, but that's the way it has to be. I won't tell you the name of our town, or our school, or even what state we're in. If I told you my last name, the Yeerks would be able to find my friends and me. The Yeerks would be able to find my friends and me, and if they ever find us, it would be the end. They might kill us, or worse. Yes, there really is something worse than death. I've seen it. I've heard the cries of despair from those doomed to be slaves of the Yeerks. I watched as the evil grey slugs writhe and squeeze through the air and take over what was a free human being. There are 5 of us, just 5. Jake, Cassie, Margot, Tobias, and me. Margot came up with a name for us for what we are now. He called us Animorphs. And I guess as good of a name as any for what we are. Mostly I still feel like a normal kid, you know? But I guess normal kids don't turn into elephants or bald eagles. And normal kids don't spend their free time fighting to save the world from the nightmares called Yeerks. That day the sun was bright. It warmed the earth below us. Warm air rose in an invisible bubble called a thermal. A thermal pushed up beneath our wings and we circled higher and higher, till we almost could touch space. Somewhere up there in cold space, up in orbit, was the Yeerk mothership. Maybe it's right over our heads. The Yeerks are parasites. In our natural state, they're just big slugs who lived in a sludgy pond called a Yeerk pool. But the Yeerks have power to take over other bodies. They've enslaved many of our races through the galaxy, the Taxons, Harbinger, and others, and now they come to Earth looking for more bodies to control. Who is there to try and stop them? Well, off in space there are the Andalites, but they were far away and it'd take them a long time to come rescue the people of Earth. And here on Earth, no one knew of the Yeerks. No one but 5 kids who were having fun being birds and riding the thermals. I looked over at my friends. Some were a little way below, some higher up. Jake was flapping his wings a little more than the rest of us. He adopted a falcon morph. They don't soar quite as well as hawks or eagles. Tobias was the smoothest flyer, partly because red-tailed hawks are natural acrobats, but partly because he had much more practice flying than the rest of us. Too much practice. Okay, Tobias, you were right. This is the coolest thing in the world, I said. Want to try a dive, you said? It's amazing. I wasn't sure that I wanted to die, but what could I say? I don't usually turn down a challenge, so I said sure. Follow me. Tobias bent his wings back and plummeted toward the ground like a bullet. I took my wings back and went after him, and the ground came rushing up. I was falling when nothing at all stopped me from splatting into the ground. It was like a nightmare. We were going 60 miles an hour as fast as a speeding car. 60 miles an hour aiming right for the ground, but even though it was scary, it was also really cool. Forget surfing or skateboarding or snowboarding, you haven't had a thrill till you've ridden the thermals a mile in the air and gone hurtling down at maximum speed. The air streamed past just like when you open a car window and you're going really fast, like being in the middle of a hurricane. The leading edge of my wings are battered and vibrating, while it's making dozens of tiny calculations and adjustments, every single feather one way or another moving to keep me pointed straight, but one wrong movement I could have tumbled end over end. At this speed, if I tumbled, I feared I could break a wing, and a broken wing this high up would be a death sentence. Tobias, I just realized something. What? This isn't like being an elephant. If I got in trouble as an elephant, I could just morph back, but I'm a long way up. If I morph now, I didn't finish the sentence, but suddenly I had a vision of me, the real me, dropping like a stone toward the hard ground. I guess he could sense the fear that was building in me. Let the eagle do the flying, Tobias advised. Relax, let the eagle's mind do the thinking. She knows what she's doing. I'm glad one of us does, said nervously. It's strange when you're a morph. You have the animal's brain in there with your own. Usually you can control that animal intelligence, but not always, and sometimes you just have to let go and let the animal take charge. I relaxed and instantly the vibration lessened. I felt more stable. The eagle was in charge and Bias was right. It knew how to fly. To my amazement, I saw something go zipping past us faster than either of us. It was Jake. His perigene falcon's smaller wings made hard for him to flow in thermals, but the same wings made him unbelievably fast when flying. It was almost like Tobias and I were standing still. Jake screamed and yelled in our heads. I smiled, or I would have smiled if I had a mouth. Jake was like me. He loves excitement, adventure, and being a little crazy. Maybe we're so alike because we're cousins. Also, we're both a little competitive. It bothered me he was a faster diver than I was. Just like about him, I could soar better. I guess that sounds a little silly, huh? Zing! Something went right by my head. You hear that, Tobias said? Yeah, I sure did, I said. What was it? I don't know. Instinctively, I pulled up out of the dive, straining every muscle in my wings as I opened them and felt the shock of wind resistance. It was like opening a parachute. The rest followed my lead. We were still 1,000 feet up, but much closer to the ground than we were before. Zing! I felt something go right through my tail feathers. Hey, someone down there is shooting at us, I said. I can see them, Cassie said. She and Marco joined up. They both morphed the same osprey. It's hard to tell them apart because we couldn't really tell where thought speak comes from. 2 guys over in the woods. They have a rifle. I can't believe this. I'm an endangered species, a bald eagle. What's the matter with these creeps? He's getting ready to shoot again, Marco reported. I see him taking aim. As soon as you see a flash of the rifle, dodge hard right, I yelled. A normal hawk or eagle or falcon wouldn't be able to figure that much out, but we weren't just raptors. We still had our human intelligence. There are times let the animal take over, but there are times when our human intelligence comes in handy. There they fire, Jake yelled. Instantly I turned a sharp right, and the bullet went whizzing by harmlessly. You know what? I don't think I like those guys, Tobias said. He had special reasons for disliking you wanted to shoot at a bird. Me neither, I agreed. I have an idea. I explained what I wanted to do, and the five of us flew off out of range of the shooters. We were far enough away and went into a steep dive faster toward the trees. I thought I was scared diving high up, but now I was diving at lower altitude or aiming directly at the trees. That was a whole new level of terror. With my eagle eyes I could see the bark on the trees. I could see the ants on the bark of the trees. It's like they were right in front of us. I hoped the eagle knew when to pull out. If I slammed into one of those trees at 60 miles, I was spam. Then just the right second, like a perfectly trained squadron of fire jets, they opened their wings and swooshed into the trees. I heard Marco yell. I don't know if this is just fun or if this is fun or just insane. It's like some kind of video game nightmare. We kept most of the speed from diving, now zooming through trees so fast that the trunks are all brown blur around us. Tree, bank left. Tree, bank right. Tree. Dozens of feathers made the smallest of the individual adjustments. Muscles in my wings to trim the angle of attack a millimeter one way and a millimeter back. Tree, 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 tree. I yelled again, half from terror and half from the total out of control thrill of it. In and out, around and through. Zoom! Zoom! And suddenly, just ahead in the clearing, there were two teenage creeps sitting back of a pickup truck. One guy had a blonde ponytail and the other wore a baseball cap. They were 100 yards away, like being all the way down a football field. My eagle eyes are so good I could count their eyelashes. The one with the ponytail had a rifle and the other one was drinking a beer. They're also scanning the skies and looking for us. Guess what, morons? I thought as we raced them. We're not there anymore, we're right here. In your face. Chapter 2. They didn't even have time to look surprised before we struck. As a bald eagle, I was the biggest and I could carry the heaviest load. I raked my talons forward and opened them wide. Tobias's hawk let out an intimidating shriek, and my talons hit the gun barrel and closed on it. Tobias slashed the ponytail guy's head with his talons. Ponytail shouted in pain and surprise and loosened his grip. Hey, the second guy yelled. Zoom! I was out of there with the rifle in my talons. But with the additional weight of the rifle, I was going to struggle getting any altitude. That bird is your gun, Chester, and the other one stole my beer! I glanced over and saw Marco, at least I think it was him. He had the can in his talons half crumpled. They're way too young to be drinking, Marco said in a most parent-like voice. I heard him complain down below. That ain't right. Ain't right that no bird should take my rifle like that. I caught a little breeze and gained just enough altitude to get over the trees, but I was having a hard time. My wings are still being the still dead air of the woods not getting much lift. I scraped the top of a tall pine tree and emerged from the woods, still flapping to carry the weight of the rifle. I made my way toward the beach over the low cliffs to the water's edge. The blessed thermals are there, and they lift me up out of the water. I relaxed, letting the warm wind carry me higher. I dropped a rifle about a mile out in the ocean. I figured any jerk who shoot a bald eagle didn't need a gun. Marco dropped him a beer with amazing precision right in the trash barrel. He looked as proud as if he won the winning basket in the NBA championship. It's been almost 2 hours, Cassie warned us. We lazily drift back towards shore. 2 hours is the time limit. If you stay in a morph longer than that, you're trapped. Forever. There's an old rundown church no one uses anymore, not far from the beach. Had a bell tower, though the bell itself is gone. We flew there, and that's where we started from. Our clothes and shoes are still piled there. 4 pairs of shoes for the 5 of us. Cassie, still in her osprey body, peered down at her watch lying on the floor. Good hour and a half. We shouldn't try to go over that. We began to morph back into our human bodies. Morphing takes concentration. When you're going from human to animal, it's harder. You have to really have to focus, but going back to human's easier. I focused on my human self for a picture in my mind. Tall, thin, with blonde shoulder-length hair. I focused especially on the hair because I didn't like my last haircut. It was uneven at the bottom. Not that that mattered. I wish I could do something with the hair when I morphed, but unfortunately it doesn't work that way. The changes began quickly. The feathers that covered me began to melt. They ran together like hot wax. In some places when my skin reappeared, it would have this beautiful feather pattern for a few seconds. My yellow bill stuck back in my mouth, which became white teeth. That part sort of itched. Made me want to grind my teeth a few times. My lips grew around on my teeth. My eyes went from pale gold to normal blue. My legs grew quite a bit, about 3 inches in normal size. I looked over at Jake and saw the same thing happen to him. Let me tell you, watching someone morph is not a pretty sight. The kind of thing that give you nightmares you didn't know was going to be alright. When Cassie morphs, she always does it kind of artistically. Like when she changed into a horse, she does it so it doesn't look totally creepazoid. She has a natural talent for morphing, if there's such a thing. The rest of us just let it happen however it happens. The results can be a bit disturbing. I happened to see Marco at the moment when his hairy boy legs came shooting out of his little bird body, and I yelped, "Ugh, gross." "Yeah, you don't look so good yourself, Rachel." His mouth was morphing. He was supposed to the first few words were garbled and the last were normal. I think what he said was, "You look so good yourself, Rachel." He's probably right. I'm glad I didn't have a mirror. My tongue grew fat in my mouth, my eyesight became faded and dimmed, the eagle's mind evaporated, leaving me alone in my head. My wings became arms, my talons became toes, scaly yellow eagle legs became my own legs, only they were still all scaly at first. "Nice look, chicken legs," Marco said. "Do they come in extra crispy too?" I smelled him. "You're not one to talk, Marco." I pointed at the floor. His legs had changed back, but he still had huge osprey talons instead of feet. As my skin began to appear, so did my morphing outfit. Fortunately, after a few tries, I learned to morph some very minimal clothing. Usually nothing more than skin-tight workout clothes or leotards. Not to go walking around them, but to keep us from dying of embarrassment when we morphed in front of each other. I checked out my friends. They are mostly normal now, with just a few remaining hints that they'd been birds a minute before. Jake was kind of a big guy, strong-looking, with brown hair and serious dark eyes. But at the moment his eyes are shining with excitement. Sometimes being an morph just totally breaks you out. He was a lizard once, he suddenly got over the fact that he ate a live spider. But I guess he enjoyed being a falcon because he was babbling on and on about how great it was. Like now I'm back in my human body, I just feel handicapped or something, like I'm glued to the ground. And blind, Cassie Great. Human eyes are so lame for seeing things far away. No, don't I know it. She grinned and spread her wings. She managed to keep them till the very end. She was kind of a strange angel. More like a harpy, if you ask me. Oddly, a look worked for her. The 5-foot gray and white wings are incredibly cool. "Do you think you could fly?" Jake asked her. He looked a little awestruck. She laughed. "No, Jake, this body weighs like 80 pounds. The wings aren't built for that kind of weight." I assume her normal arms would make that go up to closer to 100 or something, because the wings wouldn't have much weight. She morphed in the arms in about 3 seconds and laughed. Marco shook his head. "Great, we morphed like some kind of mad scientist genetic experiment gone crazy, and Cassie is like an angel." Cassie and I have been friends for a while, though look at us, you wouldn't think we'd hang out together. Cassie's casually extreme, the girl just doesn't care about clothing or style. She wore overalls to a wedding if someone didn't stop her. She lives at a farm and her whole family's massively into animals. Her dad used the barn to run a wildlife rehabilitation clinic as kind of a hospital for injured animals. It's always full of birds and skunks and opossums and coyotes and everything else she could think of. Cassie's mom is a vet too. She works at the gardens, a huge zoo and amusement park, so maybe she's just born with an instinct for understanding animals. All I know is she always finished morphing while the rest was sort of like creepy half-human monsters. As for me, well, I'm not that I miss fashion or whatever, but I do like nice clothes. I guess that part of the plus the way I look at myself, people think I'm stuck up or something. People think I'm pretty, but to me it's just an accent, you know? Looks are not the important thing. It's what's in your head that counts, and that's what I concentrate on. Of course, that's another area Cassie are a little different. I guess you'd say, no, it's what's in your heart that counts. She's a natural peacemaker. If there's ever a hassle in our group, it's usually me and Margot Costa and her who gets everyone to calm down. Personally, I'm glad to be back to my regular body. The flying's great, but it's not going to be able to see that well. Why, Jake asks. Look, Jake, how many times have you walking around the mall or whatever, you see a girl who seems good looking from far off and you get closer, it turns out she's a skank? I mean, if you could see this well all the time. Excuse me, I interrupted? I'm sure I didn't hear you say what I thought you said. I wasn't being sexist, Marco protested. It goes both ways. See, from far off, I look taller than I am. He's a little self-conscious of being short. He had long brown hair and a dark complexion. Most of the girls think he's really cute, but being small bothers him. Can't imagine why myself. Your problem isn't when people seeing you too well, I says, people hearing you too well. You look fairly smart, and then you open your mouth. Marco just grinned. He lives to annoy people. He really is smart and nice underneath all that. It's just that he loves to provoke people. Marco and Jake are best friends, even though Jake is serious and thoughtful and trying to do what's right, while Marco is sarcastic and temperamental and the most reluctant of us. He still thinks we just give up the battle against the Arcs and try and stay alive. But Marco, you never know if he really thinks that or he's just saying it to be contrary. Well, let's get out of here, Jake suggested. I have homework to do. Me too, I said, and gymnastics this afternoon. I'm totally unprepared. Cassie sighed. It's such a drag. The chores and homework all come rushing back as soon as we change back to our boring human selves. As soon as you said she bit her tongue, she cast a regretful look at Tobias. See, while all of us had changed back, Tobias didn't. He was still a hawk. Tobias, who once had unruly blonde hair and eyes that seemed hurt and tender and hopeful all at once. Tobias had been trapped while trying to escape from the hellish nightmare of the Yerk pool. He stayed more than 2 hours that morphed. We all returned to our human forms, but he was still a hawk. He would always be a hawk. Chapter 3. We all walked most of the way home together, feeling worn out. The flying was a little tiring, and morphing always takes a lot out of you. That does make me wonder how that works in fatigue-wise and everything, but I don't know, maybe morphing just burns a lot of calories. That would kind of make sense. Completely rearranging our genetic structure can't just be easy. Tobias flew overhead. He didn't really participate in the conversation. It's hard for him. He can think, speak to us, and we can understand him when we're in human shape and only talk in a normal way. He can't hear us unless we're close by, and he can't just be close by and still fly. This morphing thing would be amazing and work the whole thing with the Yeerks, said Marco. I mean, if it was just normal, we could really use these powers. To do what? Fight crime? Jake asked. He looked at him with a mixture of pity and amusement. Fight crime? Who are you, Spider-Man? I'm talking show business. Movies, shows. I can go on Letterman. There'd be a whole episode of stupid Trek pet tricks all by myself. You're right, I said, by my eyes so I know I was kidding. You already have the stupid part down. We'd be hot in horror movies, Cassie said. How about a stuntman, Jake suggested. One of us could jump off the tallest building and be totally realistic, then we just morph on our way down and fly away. Now I'm really mad at the Yeerks, Marcus said. They're getting away with my showbiz. I could be a millionaire. I could trade funny lines with Dave. I could have beautiful Hollywood supermodels all over me. I said with a wink to Cassie. Lots of women love animals, but sooner or later they'll change back to your actual self, Margot, and then boom, they'll be out of there. We walk along the boulevard that goes to the nearby construction site. It's a huge area of half-finished buildings with rusted earth movers and cranes and backhoes scattered around. I guess it's originally going to be a shopping center. For some reason they never finished it. We didn't take the shortcut through a construction site like we would have in the old days, though. See, it was at this construction site we saw the Analyte Prince's damaged by our land. It was there the Analyte warned us of your conspiracy and gave us our powers. It's also here we saw your commander, Visa Free, murder the Analyte Prince. Visa Free is the only one of the Yeerks who has the same power to morph. He's an Analyte controller, meaning he has an Analyte body. A human controller is a Yeerk with a human body, etc. You get the idea. Visa Free is the only Yeerk to capture an Analyte body, so he's the only one who can morph. That night at the construction site, he morphed into some creature from a far-off planet, a huge horrible monster. And they took that Analyte and... You know what? I really don't want to talk about that. You'll have to ask Jake. And that's a nod to the last book, I assume. We all fell silent as we passed the site, and I noticed Cassie had stopped walking and just staying there. I went back and realized she was crying. Are you okay, I asked? She shook her head. No. Are you? I sighed. Flying around the sky had been a wonderful distraction. My head was still full of awful memories. I guess not, I said. Last night I had a terrible nightmare about the Yeerk pool. I was back down there in that vast cave. And I was hearing the screams and tries people being dragged in. Cassie nodded. You know what's worse than the screams? The way they stop when the Yeerks in her head. Once they become controllers. Then you know they're slaves again. Lost. Like Tom. We both turned. It was Jake. He and Mark were seeing us stop and come back. Tom was Jake's brother, a human controller, a human being enslaved by a Yeerk in his head. PTSD. For kids, yes. He found a Yeerk pool and gone down to hell to get Tom, and we'd failed. We barely escaped with our lives. Cassie put her arm around Jake's waist. Someday we'll save Tom, she said. Jake kind of stroked Cassie's head. I guess he got embarrassed as he pulled away instantly, but she didn't mind. She knows how guys are showing their true feelings. No, you need a head patter. Give the head pats. I looked across the construction site and saw Tobias come fluttering down out of the sky. I couldn't see where he landed because the part of the site was hidden from the road, but I knew where he was, on the spot where the Analyte had died. Somehow in those brief moments, Tobias formed some kind of special bond with him. We started walking again. We need to find another way to get at them, I said angrily. Oh, thank you for the head pats, Algie. It bothered me imagining Tobias back there in that maze of never-finished buildings mourning for the Analyte. Get a who, Marcus suspiciously. The French, Margot. Who do you think? The Yeerks, duh. Whoa. We tried that, remember? We went down to Yeerk pool after them and got our butts kicked. Yeerks 10, humans 0. So you figure you should just give up, I demanded? We lost one game, Jake said. You don't quit a sword because you lose one game. Some game, Marco said barely. We didn't lose anyway, I said, and the Earthman was crazy. Look, I know we didn't save Tom, we sure didn't stop the Earth, so we gave them a reason to be afraid at least. Oh yeah, they're probably terrified of us. Visa Free probably can't sleep at night, so we're about 5 kids, Margaret says sarcastically. Look, Visa Free doesn't think we're a threat, he thinks we're lunch. He doesn't know who or what we are, I pointed out. The Yeerk's convinced we're Analyte warriors because they know we can morph. And I know we found the Yeerk pool and infiltrated and took out a few of their toxins and Harbinger while we're at it. They're probably a little nervous at least. Jake nodded. Rachel's right, but at the same time, I don't think we can try to go back to Yeerk pool. Besides, the door's gone. We all stopped and stared at him. He shrugged. Look, I just wanted to see if it worked, okay? Just in case, but it's not there anymore. The door leading down to Yeerk pool had been hidden in a janitor's closet at our school. There are dozens of doors to underground Yeerk pool spread all over the city, but this is the only one we knew about. So we had to find out where we get to them, I said. We can follow Tom again when it's time for a Yeerk to return to the Yeerk pool. They have to go every 3 days. They drain our host's head and soak up Cadrona rays. No, we leave Tom out of it, Jake said for him. We call attention to him, the Yeerks may decide he's trouble, and they might decide to kill him. That's pretty smart. Because the more times they end up interacting, the more clues they'll be giving each other. Because right now, if you think about it, Because if you think about it, right now they just think, oh, it's a bunch of andalites running around that survived and we gotta find them. But if they start appearing in this, from targeting this one particular guy, or if they start doing the same thing over and over, they'll start forming clues and think, maybe that doesn't match up. Marco gave me a sour look. This is what you want to keep doing, risking our lives and lives of everyone we know? And for what? For freedom, Cassie said simply. Marco didn't have a smart answer to that. There's still Chapman, Jake said. Chapman's our assistant principal. He's one of the most important human controllers. He runs the Sherry, the club that helps recruit unsuspecting kids into being hosts. If there's some way for us to get close to him, he let the words hang in the air. He carefully didn't look at me, but I knew what he meant. He'd been thinking about this for a while. Melissa, I asked. He nodded. It's a possibility. See, Melissa Chapman, the assistant principal Chapman's daughter, is one of my closest friends, or at least she used to be. The last few months she'd been acting very strange, like she didn't care. We take gymnastics together, actually got into it at the same time, you know, something to do together. I don't like using a friend that way, I said. Oh, suddenly the mighty Rachel is weaseling, Marco crowed. You don't like using your friends? You're pretty willing to risk my life. Sure, Marco, but who said you're my friend? Very funny, Marco said, but at the same time he did look a little hurt. Kidding, Marco, I said, just kidding. Of course you're my friend, but you're an Animorph and Melissa's an innocent bystander. I wish I never came up with that word, Marco said. Animorph, give me a break. Hello, Victor. Nice to have you here. Welcome to the story. Rachel, Melissa's father's one of the main controllers, Jake said gently, ignoring Marco. She's in this whether she likes it or not. I felt a bitter taste in my mouth. Jake was right, of course. Chapman was one of the logical lead to follow. Melissa's our way to get there. It made sense. It made sense to betray an old friend. But it also made me feel like dirt. Okay, Victor, seriously. Next day after school, I headed for a gymnastics class at YMCA, which is just across the mall. They had a big indoor pool, so the entire building always smells like chlorine, except for the weight room, which just smells like sweat. My class is taught in a smaller room with blue mats covering the floor. We have bounce beams, uneven parallel bars, and a vaulting horse at a springboard. I'm okay at vaulting and parallel bars. I'm pretty lame at the balance beam. To be honest, it kind of scares me. It takes such total concentration. It's not one of those real serious gymnastics classes. I mean, none of us are going to be in the Olympics. When I started out, I dreamed of being the next Shannon Miller, but then I started to grow, and I'm pretty tall now for my age. People look at me and say, oh, you're going to be a model, not, oh, you're going to be a gymnast. Most of us in the class are too heavy or tall to be serious gymnasts. We do it for fun and for exercise. I do it because I always thought myself was kind of clumsy. My mom says I'm not, but that's how I feel anyway. Besides, it's just cool hitting the little springboard and flipping for the air to bounce off the vaulting horse and stick the landing. Not as cool as flying, but fun just the same. Melissa's in the locker room changing her leotard when I came in. She's the exception to the rule in our class. She does look like a gymnast. She's small and thin, even though she doesn't starve herself like some fools who want to get into gymnastics. She has pale gray eyes and pale blonde hair and pale skin. Looks like one of those solemn elves in a Tolkien book. At first glance she looks delicate, but when you look closer she's straight there too. She gave me kind of a not very warm smile she always gives me lately, like she's distracted or thinking about something more important. Hey Melissa, I said, how's it going? Fine, how are you? Oh, pretty much the same old thing. That was a lie, of course. What was I gonna say? Yeah, Melissa, same old, been turning animals and fighting aliens. You know, the usual. She didn't say anything else, she just adjusted her leotard and started to do a few stretches. That's the way it was. We said hi, but not much else. We used to be close. She was my second best friend after Cassie. Melissa, I was thinking, maybe you'd like to walk over to the mall with me after classes? I had to buy a new pair of sneakers. The mall? She stammered a little, started blushing. You mean go shopping? Yeah, you know, walk around, look at stuff, check out the cute guys, diss the snotty women at the perfume counters. I try some cash like it's no big deal. In the old days it'd be nothing, but now she looked like a trapped animal. When have we gotten to be such strangers? I'm kinda busy, she said. Oh, that's cool. I understand. But I didn't really, not at all. She started to walk away. I was gonna let it go, but then I remembered. This wasn't just about a friend who drifted away. It was about her father, one of the leaders of controllers, our most dangerous enemies. I grabbed her arm. Melissa, look, I know we kinda gone different ways, you know, and I miss you. She shrugged. Okay, well, maybe we can get together sometime. Not sometime, Melissa, it's just you blowing me off. What's going on with you? What's going on with me? She echoed. For a moment, a look of extraordinary sadness darkened her eyes and tugged down at the corners of her mouth. Nothing's going on with me. We better get out there, Coach Elway's gonna have a fit. She pulled her arm away, and I just watched her go, feeling like a complete jerk. Something had happened to her and I didn't even notice. She was my friend and something had changed and I hadn't seen it. I just got my own way. And now I was only acting like a concerned friend. The truth was only paying attention for my own reasons. I wasn't able to concentrate that lesson. Not concentrating when doing gymnastics made pretty painful. I slipped on the balance beam and banged my knee so badly I cried. Ooh. Melissa was the first one to rush over. For about 10 seconds, she was the old Melissa. By the time I got back up, she was off across the room in her own little world again. Right then, there was a terrible suspicion starting to grow. She'd been acting really strangely, and her father was a controller. One day, across the room felt a chill. Was she one too? Was my old friend Melissa a controller? I didn't go shopping after my lesson. I didn't really feel like it. Her eyes, the way she looked at me, kind of killed my urge to shop. I was supposed to head over to the mall and call my mom when I was done to come pick me up. That was the plan, but since I didn't feel like mall crawling, I just headed home, alone. With the sky growing dark as rain clouds moved in, it was stupid and careless, but I guess I was preoccupied with other things. At least I had to sense stay out of the construction site. I was walking down the sidewalk that runs along the boulevard, and suddenly I realized a car pulled up a little way down the sidewalk from me. A guy got out. He looked like he was in high school or even college, and he looked like trouble. I should have turned around and run back toward the mall, but sometimes I just don't do the sensible thing. Sometimes I regret not doing that, and this is one of those times. Hey baby, he said, wanna go for a little ride? I shook my head and clutched my gym bag close. Wait, yeah, I was be so careless. Now don't be stuck up, sweet thing, he said. I think you better get in the car. The way he said it's like an invitation, it sounded like an order, and now I was really afraid. I clutched my gym bag close as I passed him. Don't ignore me, he hissed. He reached for me and missed, and I walked faster. He was behind me, I broke into a run. He ran after me. Hey there, come back here. I'd been stupid going out alone, but fortunately, unlike most people, I wasn't helpless. As I ran, I focused on something completely different. I focused an image in my mind. I felt the changes begin. My legs grew thick, my arms grew bigger. I could feel myself growing large and solid. I felt a squirmy sensation in my ears becoming thin and leathery. But it wasn't enough to look creepy. This guy made me mad. I wanted to scare him half to death. My nose suddenly began to sprout in front of my mouth like two huge spears of tusks formed, and I figured that was enough. I broke my concentration and stopped the morph. I stopped suddenly and the creep barreled right into me. He wasn't going to like what he was about to see. I wanted to tell him to step off. What I wanted to say was, so you still want to go for that ride? But Rick came out was more like, Rawr. The guy stopped dead. He just stared. What he saw was me halfway through morphing into an African elephant. I had about a third of a trunk and must my huge fan-like elephant ears. My legs were like stumps. My arms looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger's, only gray. And my tusks stuck out like a foot out of my mouth. Just makes things extra weird so my normal hair and normal eyes. Suddenly the guy wasn't so interested in hassling me. He screamed and turned and ran. For a minute I forgot he even had a car. Then he turned around and jumped in through an open window. He started the car and took off. He was definitely breaking the speed limit as he tore out of there. I concentrated on getting him to reverse the morphing process to going back to human shape. I'd been wearing a loose sweater and leggings, which was good. They'd both been stretched. But my shoes had been split open by a sudden growth of my elephant feet. It started raining, so the trip home was going to be very unpleasant. Oh great, I muttered. I just got to remember to kick my shoes before I morphed into an elephant. Then a second car pulled up to a stop and a window rolled down. Hey Rachel, it's Melissa. I recognized her voice. Do you want to ride home? She didn't sound very excited. I looked for her car window and passed her. Chapman was behind a wheel, and a wave of sick fear rolled over me. Had he seen what I just did? If he had, I was dead. My friends were dead. I'm fine. I could use exercise. Nonsense, young lady, Chapman said, sounding like his usual self. It's beginning to rain. Get in. What was I supposed to do? I forced a smile. It wasn't easy. Thanks. Melissa's in front of her father. I sat in back. In front with her father, rather. I tried to shiver. I tried to stare at the back of Chapman's head. That's how it is when you're around a controller. You know that evil slug is right there attached to all his nerve endings, controlling the human brain and dominating it. It's hard to stare when you think of what's squeezed inside its skull. When we were stuck by them, and a red light, some guy was bothering you, and then he ran off. Was he bothering you? No. He was picking up something. He dropped by the side of the road. I was such a lame liar. I saw his eyes watching me from the rearview mirror. He looked a normal Chapman. That's the problem with controllers. There's no outward clue. He looks so normal. He went running off like the hounds of Hades are after him, Chapman said. Did he? I said in a squeaky voice. I wasn't looking. I guess it was the rain, probably when he was running. You can turn left there. I know where you live, Chapman said. I almost swallowed my tongue. Was that a threat? Did he suspect? Did he guess? Was he looking at me weird? Or was I just being paranoid? He pulled in front of my house. My heart was hammering, but I was determined to act casual. Thanks for the ride, Mr. Chapman. Hey, Melissa, I was totally serious about us getting together, okay? She nodded. Sure, Rachel. Absolutely. I closed the door behind me. I had escaped. I was alive. I was probably just imagining things, and I heard her call out, Hey, what happened to your shoes? My shoes are in tatters, while my feet growing to size 6, from size 6 to size 300 in about 5 seconds. See, I said live as I could, told you to go shopping. She just looked puzzled, and her father stared at me with an expression I couldn't read. I was shaking like a leaf when I walked in my house. I headed upstairs to my room and stuffed my ripped shoes in the trash. Only then I go back downstairs to say hi to my mom. She's at the kitchen table, half hidden by a pile of buff-colored books. My mother's a lawyer. She brings work home a lot, so she can be around me and my 2 sisters. She and my dad are divorced. I can only see my dad a few days a month, so Mom feels guilty when she isn't there for us. Hi, honey, she said. She had her suspicious smart look. How'd you get home? You didn't walk, did you? You were supposed to call me. Melissa and her dad gave me a ride, I said. What was the truth? Sort of. She relaxed me upon closing her book. Sorry, you know how I worry about you? Where are Jordan and Sarah? They're in the family room watching one of those scary shows. Of course, tonight Jordan will be sleeping with her night light and Sarah will be up and end up in my bed, no doubt. I don't know why I like things that frighten him. You were never that way. It almost made me laugh. I felt like saying, well, Mom, I don't have to watch things that are scary. I am scary. She seen me a little while ago with tusk sticking in my mouth. What I really said was, so what's for dinner? My mother winced. Pizza? Chinese? Anything I can order over the phone? Sorry, I have this brief and I have court in the morning. Mama told her maybe 1,000 times, I don't mind pizza. Sorry, your cooking just isn't that great, so it's no big deal. Well, at least put some veggies on, she said. After dinner, I called Jake. Do you want to come over? I got that new CD if you want to listen. There's no CD, of course, just we ought to be careful. Like I said, Jake's part of Tom's controller. He could be listening on the extension. I called Cassie and Marco and told him the same cover story. When I told him about Melissa and I told him my little run-in with that creep, I didn't tell him about Chapman driving me home. I don't know why. When I saw the way Marco had spoiled, I was glad I hadn't told him the entire story. Oh, that was dumb. Dumb! Dumb, Marco said. What if he's a controller? He wasn't, I said scornfully. Why did Eric want to make a controller out of that punk? No people in positions of power. We don't know that for sure, Jake said. Tom isn't in a position of power. And how about people driving by in their cars looking at the windows of their homes? What if he runs and tells someone his girl suddenly sprouted a trunk and tusk? No one's gonna believe him, I said. His friends won't, but a controller would. A controller would know what it meant. Right, a controller would know what that meant. A controller like Chapman, or Melissa if she was one of them. I felt sick. It was like my whole life was nothing but lies. Lies to Melissa, lies to my mother, and now I'm lying not telling the others the entire truth. Okay, I admit, I screwed up. You sure did. You screwed up so... Marco, let it drop, Jake said. Rachel knows she made a mistake. We all make mistakes. Marco rolled his eyes. Cassie gave me an encouraging smile. It was dumb putting yourself in that position, Rachel. You need to be more careful. But still, I had to pay my next 10 allowance to see a look on that guy's face. The important thing doesn't sound like Rachel can use Melissa to get close to Chapman. Not if she's a controller herself. And not if she's going to keep being weird to Rachel. I guess we'll have to find another way, I said quickly. I mean, we know where his office is, we know where his house is, maybe we could just morph into some small animals and hide. Like what? When Jake turned to a lizard, he got stepped on. He lost his tail. Besides, what are you gonna morph into, a cockroach? We all shared a thought. The smallest, strangest thing even more so far was Jake with the lizard. It creeped him out big time. A roach would be even worse. The problem with being a coward set aside for being too gross to believe is that roach senses might not be useful. What can they hear in a way be useful for us? Or make it possible for us to understand what we're hearing? We looked at Cassie, she's sort of our expert on animals. She held her hands. Oh, come on, like I know how our cockroach sees and hears. We don't take care of roaches at the rehab clinic. We just all sat there feeling glum for a few minutes, so I wasn't gonna let this drop. It was about more than just striking blow at the Yerks. I had to find out if Chapman suspected me. If he did, we'd all be in horrible danger. I happened to glance over at my desk. There was my math homework still not done. It didn't make me feel any better. But then I looked at the photos that mounted on one of the big frames with 6 different holes. One of them was of me and my mom and dad on a whitewater rafting trip we took. One was me visiting my dad at his shop. He's a weatherman on TV. We were grinning in front of a map of storms. And there are pictures of Cassie and me riding horses side by side, with Cassie as usual when she spent her entire life in the saddle, while I looked like a total dweeb. But the picture that got my attention was one a couple years ago of Melissa and me. I got up and went to take the frame down. I stared hard at the picture. What, Jake said, what is it? It's me and Melissa. It was like her 12th birthday or some birthday anyway, and we were out in the lawn playing with a present her dad gave her. So what? So... It showed me and I passed it on a photograph. It showed me and Melissa in shorts, and between a small black and white kitten. Her present was a cat. Ooh.